Oh, sorry, were you gonna say something? Okay. Hello and welcome to the next episode of Two Girls Talk Transits. Today we're going to review the astrology from January 12th through January 18th, and we're your host. I'm Maddie.
And I'm Kaleigh.
And welcome, y'all. So, just FYI, before we get started, this is the last week that you have time to sign up for our program, our 6 months Learn Astrology with both Kaleigh and I. We're really excited to be starting this. So, we just want to give you those last little opportunity to come join us. So, all the information is linked in the show notes and then also on our social media pages. But you can also just email us if you have any questions or comments or concerns. Like, when we're creating the space to be a space that's like a mentorship, like a place where you can come and learn astrology from us and learn it with other people. So if you have any questions or concerns about that, like reach out, email us at twogirlstalktransits@gmail. And we're excited to get started at the end of this week. We're Aquarius season. So last week to kind of just sign up and get your spot saved on there.
Yeah, Aquarius season will be a cool time to start because it's like, tapping into like the another language of the universe. So very Aquarian.
Very Aquarian, and also the community aspect and all that. That's what we're trying to cultivate in that space. So definitely get yourself signed up, or at least on the list, so you can be a part of that before we get started. And then we may have another launch, but it will be much later. So join now if you're
Mhm.
interested.
Yeah.
But all right, let's get started for this week. So it is kind of a loaded week and it's an interesting one. We start off with Sunday, January 12th, Mars retrograde back in Cancer will
Mhm.
trine Neptune in Pisces.
Yep, we do. So yeah, Mars stationed retrograde last week, and
It returned. It's been retrograde since December.
oh yeah, I meant into Cancer. Sorry, it went into
Yes.
Cancer. Yes, sorry. Yeah, so it went back into Cancer last week, so we're continuing that little flow over into Cancer where it's going to go all the way back, I think, to 17 degrees.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, and we're making that trine to Neptune. So, I've heard a lot of people have spoke about this like Mars retrograde, and I think it's like a lot of us are kind of going to be feeling this like lack of passion and lack of drive to be kind of moving towards our goal because Mars is that life force that like makes us get up out of bed in the morning and like makes us want to go after our things, like it's that energetic force behind things. So yeah, when we meet in this trine to Neptune, it's a bit more of like I feel like it's watering it down a little bit more. What do you think?
Yeah, so I was just kind of scrolling back, but the first time that we had this trine, because I've been telling people like, okay, Mars retrograde in Cancer, you are reviewing like October and a little bit of November, because that's when we had Mars in those same degrees of Cancer. You do want to kind of keep that in the back of your mind. But this trine to Neptune was like around Halloween. And we had a lot going on Halloween with Neptune, but I feel like the Neptune piece just adds the layer of uncertainty or unclarity with your actions. Mars tends to take actions in a very self-confident and self-dominating sort of way, if you think about Aries, but also if you think about Scorpio, they're generally signs that have a lot of confidence or a lot of self-assuredness or like there is a passionate reason as to why they are taking the action.
Mm.
But this trine to Neptune is sort of like, I don't know why I'm taking this action, or the logic behind these actions or this review is sort of heightened spiritual or like illogical, or just like it just feels right. And there's this element of just kind of maybe on the outside looking in, people don't understand why you're doing the things that you're doing. But it is like if it feels true to you, that's probably in alignment.
That's a really good point to make, because Neptune and Pisces in general does ask us to like rely on our faith and like
Right.
that unseen intuition that we have inside. So it could be, instead of being like, Mars in, I don't know, Capricorn or something that might be really like sure of itself. Um, we can be like, I don't really, like you said, I don't really know, but the feeling is there, like that it feels right, so we're going to move in that direction. And, with that might come, like you mentioned, criticism from other people because, like if other people can't see the way, that usually can get like projected onto us. Like, I don't get how you're getting from point A to point B, but it's like, you don't always need to know 100% everything. And that Neptune aspect is like asking you to like be okay with not knowing.
Yeah, I mean, I just think it's just funny with like the Neptune aspects that we're getting in the beginning of the year, just because Neptune's going to be such an important piece of our
Mm-hmm.
astrology, like in the summer as well, and even with the eclipses. So I feel like it's almost just coming back to like religious leaders, like and spiritual leaders, like how confident they are in something that is so formless and so unproven. But it's like, it's almost like that trickery. Like if you are just so confident, if you take these actions because you just truly believe it, because it's so true to your heart and it's so true to your soul, like other people will just kind of get intoxicated by that energy in a way. Like, oh,
Mm-hmm.
they're so confident in this too. Like maybe I can too. And it's almost like it is a little bit of Delulu energy starting this week, but like I think it's using that delusional energy for your betterment because you aren't going to get clear, rational, logical processing at this moment.
Mm. Yeah, interesting. So, asked to rely on that. It's like I spoke about this the other day and like I made a small post on Instagram about how like each transit and like asks us to evolve in some way. And this one is asking us probably like get in touch with like your inner world, get in touch with like with your intuition and just explore and experiment with that. We need to experiment with all these different things. Like, we need to experiment with logic. We need to experiment with intuition. We need to experiment with our belief system. And that's how we learn. And that's how, like, we find what works best for us. But unless we're like, if we're asked to be like logical all the time, we're never going to have experience with that, like, unseen realm that does exist. So we need these transits to come in to like give us that experience in some way.
I agree. I think it's a good way to putting it because it is about like kind of your test of faith. Like, how do you take action when your belief system is just the only thing driving your action?
Right, right.
When it's your intuition is the only thing driving the reasons of why you're doing, nobody else can back up or prove that this is a right action for you to take, but can you still do that because you do have that faith in yourself?
Right, and that's like kind of like where some of the best stories come from too. Like think about
Right.
it. Those are like wasn't it like Lady Gaga or something that was like playing in those like small local like speakeasies for like the longest time and you know she probably had the thought like I don't know if I'll ever be anything, but like I believe that I will be something, so I'm just gonna keep blindly walking forward in this way.
I love that you mentioned her because I saw a post. I think it was on Reddit. It was probably on Reddit. That's where I usually am. But it was on Reddit or something. But it was like, when Lady Gaga like went to college or whatever, like she was just so certain about like she was gonna make it as like a singer, like you said, but she was doing all these smaller things. And it's like her old high school group like hated her. They thought she was crazy, and they had this like group on Facebook that was like her real name. I forgot Stefani something. I forgot her real name, but it was like
Yeah.
is like a fraud or she'll never make it or like, like making fun of her on this Facebook group about her trying to be the singer. But it was like, no, she knew in her soul like this is what she was meant to do.
You know what's funny about her chart too? I think I was looking at her chart the other day. I'm pretty
Yeah.
sure she has detriment Mercury in
Mm.
Pisces in the 11th, and it's conjunct Jupiter. So that would really
Oh.
speak to like,
The naysayers.
yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's in the 11th. It's either in her 11th or her 12th, but I'd have to like look at her chart again. But I thought it was very interesting because I always like looking at singers and like the aspects they have to their Mercury. So I was like looking at what hers is.
Yeah, I noticed a lot of singers don't have strong Mercuries, but like that's kind of the cool part is because they use their way of interpretation differently and it's like passionate in that way or engaging to other people. So,
Yeah, like Chapel Roan.
yeah.
Yeah, she has her Mercury in Aquarius, which I thought
Oh,
was
that's so obvious.
I thought that was like really fitting for her. But it's like Aquarian energy when you wouldn't naturally like pair that with like a singer, you know? Like
No.
so I thought it was like just super interesting to see.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. But that all that to say though is that is kind of the energy we're starting off this week because that there's like this big full moon coming up. So that really heightens that. And then too, it's like there's this balance between like your emotions and your feelings, but then there's still this desire to ground your actions into something that's practical because we still have the sun in Capricorn. And now we have Mercury in Capricorn. And on the Monday, that 13th, which is the day of the full moon, was like the sun will trine Uranus. So this full moon in Cancer is in an exact aspect with Uranus and Taurus, which is grounding, but also very disrupted grounding, like making
Mhm.
change, physical change in a new, unique way, you know?
Right, right. So let me see, like, so we have that full moon in Cancer happening on the 13th. And that same day, we have the sun in Capricorn that's making the trine to Uranus and Taurus. So
Yes.
that trine aspect with the sun interaction is making it like more ungrounded, right?
Yeah, I think so because I feel like here, let me pull up this full moon chart too.
Yeah, this is
If
an
you
interesting one to look at because I think I'm just interested to see how we're gonna experience this.
right. So it's like we have this full moon. It's at 23, almost 24. Is it 23 and 59 minutes of the Cancer and Capricorn, full there. Mars, you use it retrograde at 27 Cancer, and it's just made that trine to Neptune at 27
Hmm.
Pisces. And then the full moon itself, there's Uranus trining the sun and like sextiling the moon at 23 Taurus. So there's a lot of outer planet involvement. And the last time we have a lot of outer planet involvement, like a lot of things just change or shift quickly. And so part of it is this full moon is like you're taking action based on your faith or based on your beliefs, right? And I feel like under this full moon, that action will manifest to a significant change or a sudden disruption to what is tangible or what is practical because Mars is so close to this full moon. There's like an element of cutting away from old.
Hmm.
Like
Yeah.
there's an element, yeah, there's something that's like it's not just you're just not feeling yourself take this action, you're actually seeing it happen too in the world, in the physical plane, like in the manifestation. Like I believe this is going to happen, and then all of a sudden the next day, like you get that email or you get that text, and you're like, oh shit, it is happening.
Yeah, you know what it's like reminding me of? It's like, okay, so I know at the beginning of the year, like, and even before the beginning of the year, like a lot of us created like vision boards. It would be like the
Hmm.
first action that you take towards like manifesting your one of the things on your vision boards. And you're
Yeah.
like not really sure like if I'm there yet or like if I can like make this happen yet, but you decide to go for it anyways. And it's like those ripples that come after it, which it would be like that Uranus, like, oh, now that you decided to make this change, like these are all the things that are going to come along with it, that are going to change with it. And it probably will be kind of like destabilizing. Like, even though you're going in the way that you feel is right for you, like there has to come with that, like change to the current reality in order to like have everything, puzzle piece together in one way or another.
I agree because when I look at charts sometimes, especially when I'm looking at transits, um, Saturn to the moon, like Saturn below, I see those as our personal pieces of ourselves in our chart. Like,
Hmm.
those are personal things that Saturn's our responsibility, all of that. Like, those are all small things that we do honor. Those are our free will, those are our choices. And then Neptune, Uranus, and Pluto are like the universal actions, like the God, like the things that
Oh, yeah.
happen.
Hmm.
Yeah. So,
Hmm.
like, you start this week with like Mars turning Neptune, like I am going to take these actions, and the universe is like, okay, here's some consequences, from the full moon.
Yeah, it's kind of like it's interesting because, everything's interconnected. It's kind of like when you play around with your personal life, like too much, like the outer bigger things are going to be affected too. And
Yeah.
it works in like the other way too. Like go ahead and play with the cosmos and you'll see what happens like in your personal life, you know? So it's going to be an interesting interaction between the two, but I think because we have this Neptune aspect that we might feel like a little bit more tuned in to like the divine or like you said, outside forces, like things that are outside of our control.
Yeah, I would look for like synchronicities this week. Like if you know with just the Mars retrograde, the moon in Cancer, like if you're just feeling like this is happening but you're not sure, look for those synchronistic things that you just like spark little interest in you or spark little things like, oh wait, like is that right? Like that's the nudge in the direction because like that's kind of how I feel these outer planets function because they function at such a collective level, but you're part of the collective.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that's why we have like trends and stuff like that, you know, like this
Yeah.
collective energy all like moves towards like particular things. Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, in order to know like, you know, kind of um like where you should be experiencing a lot of this, you know, I would look to the Cancer Capricorn axis
Mhm.
to get like super clued in on like, hey, what are like these areas of life that I'm gonna be like maybe wanting to make a change in or wanting to move direction in. That'll speak a lot to that. And you know, as far as like Cancer continues to move or Mars continues to move backwards in Cancer, we might be like working through that action that we make like during this time.
Yeah. I think on that personal practical level, like take out the outer planets for a minute. You are looking at cutting away from something or a real desire to take an action or make some sort of change.
Hmm.
And it's kind of sparking in that Cancer house, but it will affect and perhaps change the houses that Mars rules. So your Aries and Scorpio houses.
Yeah, that's a really good point to make. Yeah. Yes, yes, that too. I'm wondering too, like, how much Uranus will come into play, like how much that the house that Uranus is in will come into play, or we'll just mostly be feeling like shaken up from the planet by itself, you know?
Yeah, I think it would be, I think in this sense, it will be more of the planet, but Venus is actually getting a lot of aspects this week too. So it's just all kind of getting involved, Venus ruling Taurus. So I think that,
Good.
yeah, that will be an element to connected with us.
Mm-hmm. Very true.
Yeah, because that is our next aspect is then on that Tuesday of the January 14th, right after this full moon, kind of really shaking some things loose with that Mars retrograding Cancer. Then Venus will square Jupiter. So Venus is in Pisces. But now she's kind of getting closer to Saturn. She'll square Jupiter though on the 14th. That's a positive aspect. I just don't think we're gonna feel as positive with it when the moon is like conjunct Mars and then like Jupiter and Saturn are still in a square.
Yeah. I know, I was kind of thinking that too. Like, it seems like it could be good, like, provided other things weren't going on, but to
It
me,
feels
huh?
go ahead, sorry.
No, I was just gonna say, especially with like Jupiter being retrograde right now, and Jupiter's in detriment also, like I don't know. I mean, even though Venus is like exalted right now in Pisces, but I don't know. I think it could be like kind of like a come and go kind of thing. Like you might feel like a little bit of boost to something, but it's not gonna be like anything super profound.
I was thinking like we were talking about Venus and Pisces before this podcast, like,
Mm.
hasn't been like a pure saving grace, but I think it's just because like you're talking about like moves quickly. She is a faster planet. I think you look to just smaller things in your life, especially when it squares Jupiter, that are like, okay, like perhaps the full moon shakes up maybe bigger things, bigger picture decisions that you're making about your future and what direction you're going. And that is stressing you out because you have to cut away from some of that. But then the Venus square Jupiter And the next day is like, oh, but my friend came over for coffee and we had a really good morning together. And it was, I got to forget about all of that. Or I went for this little walk with my dog and like it was so cute. And just like those really soft, subtle things of ease. It's not like this big gift, but it's more like the small things of like, this was pleasant.
No, that's a really nice way to put it though. It's like kind of like putting that like gentle, like, Venus and Pisces could be like sprinkling fairy dust over the situation. Like, I know that you might be doing something that's really hard in this moment, but let me like give you like you said, little gifts along the way to like ease the tension a little bit. And not everything is bad or terrible. Like sometimes big change just feels jarring, but like we can also experience like good moments too in the midst of that.
Mm-hmm. And I mean, in all of this, like the Venus square Jupiter is our best aspect this month. So it
Yeah.
is like, this is a good day for like fun things, for expanding relationships, but also just kind of with Venus and Pisces, expanding your faith and expanding your ability to like believe that it will work out and that it will play out how it needs to.
Yeah. You said this whole month. When does Venus conjunct Neptune?
Probably at the very end of the month. I think she moves into she starts slowing down a lot because she's gonna go retrograde March 1st.
Oh, I thought she
So,
didn't go retrograde until Aries season, but maybe I'm wrong.
well, she's ahead of the sun. She's moving
Mm.
faster than the sun. So the sun will still be in Pisces when she goes retrograde.
Oh, okay. Oh, yes. But I thought, oh my goodness.
I know. So she will start slowing down. I don't know exactly when she conjuncts Neptune, but probably at the very end of this month because she enters Aries like in the beginning of, yeah, February 4th. And then she'll turn retrograde. She'll go so slow in February in Aries.
Yeah, literally, it's not until January 31st that she conjuncts Neptune. It's the
Yeah, that
literally the
checks
last day
out.
of the month. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, and then she will be in Aries. Yeah. Would you say February
4th.
4th? Yeah.
Yeah.
And yes, yes, yes. But then, okay, yeah. She'll retrograde March 2nd.
She's non-stop retrogrades on their personal planets at the moment.
Yeah, that'll be fun.
But yeah, I mean mine is the conjunction Neptune. I mean that depends if you like Neptune or not. I think this is still your best day. So like if you do want something that is relationship oriented or focuses on your Venus ruled houses of Libra and Taurus, plan it for this Tuesday, the 14th.
Yeah,
It'll be fun.
have it. Yeah. So not February 14th, but January 14th.
Yes, not February 14th. Um, there is, it's kind of like encapsulated, like I don't want to put all this pressure on Venus and Pisces to fix things because she's just kind of in a tough spot. And then, like, on the 15th of Wednesday of this week, then the sun will complete its opposition to Mars, which is just like, ooh, a burn or an ouch again?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Like interacting with that Mars again, I think, will not be fun. I think it's gonna like bring more awareness to like Mars moving backwards, and I think we're all just gonna be feeling that. And I think it kind of like speaks to like the winter though too, like
Mm,
the winter is supposed to be like a symbolic of like rest and hibernation, and like Mars moving backwards and like retrograding is like really significant to like giving you the message to rest,
mm.
so I
But then
think
Capricorn wants to be
right.
achieving or doing, and there's
Yeah,
your opposition. Is you're like, I
exactly.
can't, I have to
I have
stop.
things. Yeah, I know. Yeah, that sucks. It's interesting because it's like just like that this aspect would come up because it's like we live in a society where we're not able to like honor those patterns, and it just very much speaks to that astrology moment.
I know. I do think about that, how like I wonder how the astrology looked. Like, I mean, obviously, back then they had different problems. So, like, people were
Right,
not
right.
living to certain years and, like, not making it past childbirth and stuff. Like, obviously,
Right.
there were different struggles. So, it probably mirrors that. But I really think the astrology mirrors our human experience of, like, wow, the world is crumbling and I still have to survive. Like,
I know, right? It is crazy. Sometimes I wonder, like, I don't even want to say it, but sometimes I wonder what it would look like if, like, the US was dismantled.
I'm
Because
gonna
I'm
get so
like,
much hate for
I know, but
that.
I just like wonder, like, what, like, what would happen to everybody's debt and, like, what would happen to, like, I just wonder, like, if it was just, like, nothing, what happens? Like, all of these perceived ideas kind of go out the window, like, my credit score,
Yeah.
it doesn't exist anymore, you know?
Oh my
So
God. I can't. I mean, the credit score it was born in the 90s, like, or I guess in the 89, but still, like, that credit score is like a lot of us are older than that. A lot of us are older than social media, and some of us can't imagine what it would be like to exist without social media. And
oh my
like,
gosh, I have to tell you, like, not even, like I know me and you, like, we're what are we, what are we?
we're millennials.
We're millennial? I don't even freaking know the generation. So anyways, my work the other day, I work with, like, what is, like, the generation that was born in the 2000s?
Gen Z.
Gen Z.
Yeah.
Okay, so they got, like, these Gen Z kids got, like, a stipulation, like, you're only allowed 6 hours on your cell phone a day. And these kids, I swear they had the biggest meltdown. And I was like, y'all, 6 hours is a lot. Like, what are you doing?
The fuck?
I know. Oh
We had
man.
like a desktop computer growing up, and we were only allowed 1 hour of either TV or computer time a day. That was it. My mom
Yeah.
was strict about that.
Oh, that's good though. I
Yeah.
remember I remember though as a kid, like if I spent more than a couple hours in front of the TV or something, I would be like like running outside because I'd be like, I can't, like my system is gonna shut down.
Yeah, it is. And it's funny because that is very much like Sun opposite Mars is like wanting to do like the action over here, but how you feel about it is opposite. And it's just this heightened tensions of like, why am I living and working in this sort of environment that's not conductive to my health or safety or, security, which is very Cancer.
Yeah, I think that's it, like, yeah, what you like hit it out of the ballpark with that one because I think that so many people are feeling like that, like
Mm,
just I think Mars and Mars retrograde in general just speaks like burnout. And I think a lot of people are feeling like, the way that I'm living my life is a little bit like not balanced and it's making me feel super burnt out. And it's because I have to focus Sun and Capricorn on all these like capitalistic things or like my
mhm.
long-term growth or my financial planning 50 years ahead. So I'm not like sleeping on the sidewalk when I'm 75. I don't know. It's like, like we have all these like long-term things that are we're thinking about at the same time that we're trying to think about just like existing in the now.
Yeah, existing now, taking care of my body now, like not feeling an anxious puddle today.
Hmm.
But if I don't do these things today, it will hurt me long term. It's the constant trade-off. So yeah, I could see the full moon in Cancer just being peak, big exhaustion, needing a lot of rest and needing to cut away from some of those obligations, but then just feeling that inherent stress no matter what you do.
Yeah, yeah, I agree.
So not ideal, not great. But then, in the middle of all that, like Venus squares Jupiter, and you're like, okay, but I have a friend. Like,
At least I have you. Yeah.
I don't know. Um, well, then we continue on from the week. I mean, yeah, that whole first bit of the week though is tense. It's more tense. And then on the 17th, which is the Friday of this week, the sun will sextile Neptune. That's softer, and maybe that will give you a moment to kind of check out or like take a break and like dissociate or do your spiritual practices, take care of your body, or just like give yourself a moment to like come back to
Yeah, I'm kind of
everything.
thinking about it like, there are moments like in my life where it's been like, I don't freaking know. And it's like at that moment you just surrender. And I'm thinking that this
Yeah.
is like the moment of like surrender where you just like kind of bow your head down and you're like, I don't know, but please like show me the way.
Yeah. Yeah, that's so Neptune, and that's just like I can't hold all this. I can't contain all this. So just like let go. Collectively, we're
Mhm.
all experiencing somewhere around the same way. So it's kind of just allowing that to unfold anyways
Mhm.
without the control. I think that's the one thing about Capricorn that hurts them is there's this such need of control.
Mhm.
And that is just not conducive or conductive for water signs in general. And
No.
so, yeah, you can't control water signs, but earth signs, you can definitely control earth. And Capricorn, particularly, really likes that control over everything. But we are not in a period of time where you can control a lot of things.
Yeah, for sure not. And, the same sentiment I think is spoken by almost every, earth and water relationship combination ever. It's like, the earth trying to control the water, and the water's like, no friggin' way, get out of here.
Right. So I think it's a little bit of that, just like, okay, I give up, I can't control this, so I just let it go, and then it will work out because you're just letting the universe do its thing instead now.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So a little bit of that. And then we'll end this very busy week on Saturday, the 18th. Venus will finally conjunct Saturn in Pisces. Yay.
Yes, it will. So, yeah, we spoke about this a little bit like before the podcast, and we kind of spoke to like, Venus, like sharing its support to like Saturn ruled things. So it can be supporting like your Aquarian and Capricorn areas in your birth chart. So you might be feeling a boost in that way, especially those of you who are ruled by Saturn or, yeah. Um,
Had like more Saturn in you. Yeah.
mm,
I think I think Venus is going to, in the way that it's supportive, it will be more of like remove a little bit of the tension or the stress or the have to. Like again, Saturn is that sign ruling Capricorn Aquarius that is controlling, is
mhm,
the one that puts the boundary, controlling in the way that you're constantly putting boundaries and you're constantly building up structures and you're being clear about what has to go where. And then Venus can be like, hey, it's okay.
mhm.
Like, or, like, hey, like, actually, if you just didn't do as much, it would still stand, you
Yeah,
know?
yeah, yeah, I totally
Like,
agree. Yeah, I think
it,
like, go ahead.
guys, no, I wasn't gonna add anything else.
No, just in general, I think that like Saturn, I'm thinking about like Saturn ruled people, and I just think in general, like they kind of get like the short end of the stick sometimes because they have to like constantly go up against these like more difficult obstacles and like kind of put in like long work. And I think like Venus maybe an aspect here will kind of like give them like the chance to like exhale, be like, you know,
Or maybe give them like a milestone, a completion.
oh yeah,
Like,
that's what's like
yeah, here's a
too.
little gift for doing all that,
Yeah,
like,
here's your
hey, you're not
achievement.
there yet,
Hmm.
but and on the more Venetian side of things, Venus meeting Saturn can help stabilize some relationships, maybe make more commitments to relationships or like solidify commitments within partnerships, or also just help like get clear about certain things that you're doing in your Venus houses. So, like with that Uranus piece there, like stabilizing what has been shaken up maybe by that full moon.
Mm, that's a really good point to make. Yeah. Yeah, because you will be feeling like destabilized a bit. I mean, in general, like we've had like a pretty destabilizing period with Uranus in Taurus, like
Mm.
ruling that Venus, but or being ruled by Venus, but um yeah, I do think it'll be like a good moment of stabilization. Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah, so it's just like into like finally when Venus gets past this, they will I feel like we'll feel Venus a little bit more because right now she's just been putting in work in Pisces into helping Saturn or to helping with these more intense things, and now Venus past this, she's definitely close to her shadow period. I forgot to check when that was, but
Oh
I
yeah.
think that's next week anyway. Um, but we'll start to feel a little bit more of like, okay, I could have more ease or more flow. I think at the moment there's just this constant push pull this week of just high intentions and not able to access just pure joy or pure freedom yet.
Yeah. Yeah, I could definitely see that.
And
Hmm.
that's all I have for this week. Is there anything else that you wanted to add?
No, that's it for this week. Yeah, I hope everybody has a good full moon this week.
Mhm.
Yeah, and we'll see how it plays out.
Might be a little emotional, a little tension, probably high intentions, probably very emotional, but that's okay. That's good.
Yeah, I mean, we can say that like if you're feeling emotional, it's not you, it's probably you and everyone.
Yes, exactly. So if you want more content from us, want to see more from us, follow us on TikTok and Instagram. If TikTok shuts me down, I'll let you know what I do next. I'll be sad, but I'll figure it out. But
Right, yeah. I mean, none of us know really, but there will be like a new social media things pop off, I'm sure.
I
It's
personally, like, just from a critical business side, I just think there's just way too much money to be made on TikTok, like from TikTok itself, we make from its viewers, like how much they make from like everyone gifting lives and like all of that. Like TikTok makes so much money, like some other business will just buy them, but
yeah,
I,
but
I don't know.
people are getting pretty smart with like making money online, so I think something else will pull through, you know?
Exactly. But we're there for right now. Two Girls Talk Transits. We're also on YouTube. So follow us if you want more, and we will see you next week.
See you.
Bye.
Bye.